From that first impression when a customer walks through your door, to how well your assets perform every day, you're the ones leading the way. Today, you're facing a changing world, which means you're tackling more challenges than ever before. You're embracing the unknown, making strategic decisions, and finding fresh, innovative ways to run your business. You've risen to the challenge, you have momentum, and no one is going to slow you down. And you know transparency and data are key to moving your business forward. ServiceChannel provides you with the insights you need to reduce costs, improve quality, ensure compliance, and be confident in every decision so you can focus on what's ahead. ServiceChannel is with you every step of the way. We will continue to move forward. We will build a better future together.
Welcome to the session, Reliable Revenue Machines, Managing Capital Assets from Beginning to End. I'm your host, Chris Zock, Senior Product Marketing Manager at ServiceChannel. Our customers are tracking over 3 million assets on the ServiceChannel platform. Today we'll speak with 2 of those customers to learn about how they're using ServiceChannel to achieve their asset management goals. First, let's talk to Lance Schmidt from Love's Travel Stops about how they keep the fuel flowing dependably so they can get their drivers back on the road quickly. Then we'll look under the hood with Mark Franzen from Carmax to see how assets are the engine of their operations. Plus, he'll share how the new projects module is helping them to streamline their capital project execution. But first, let's check in with Leum Fahey, the Senior Product Manager for Asset Management Solutions at ServiceChannel. He'll get us started with how ServiceChannel data makes it possible to optimize the asset lifecycle every step of the way. One last note, we'll end this session with a live Q&A chat with our speakers, but you don't have to wait. Whenever you think of a question, just drop it into the chat on the right side of your window. Hi Leum, welcome to ServiceX.
Hey Chris, I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for joining us from Vermont today.
It's my pleasure.
You're the go-to expert on asset management at ServiceChannel. How did you earn your reputation on that topic?
Well, I've worked in the software for facilities management industry for over 20 years now. For the first 17 years, I focused primarily in the grocery vertical with a company called A. Cook Associates. In the grocery vertical, assets are very important, and I naturally just gained a lot of knowledge from that industry.
Why are assets so important to grocery stores?
Well, if you think of a grocery store, it's like having a restaurant, a deli, a bank, and a food market all under one roof. And that leads to having a large number of complex assets that all have their own unique asset management requirements.
Let's start from the beginning. Why are assets worth managing?
Well, let's face it. Businesses have assets to provide customer experience and customer service to customers. Things like HVAC systems, they keep a location comfortable so that shoppers shop longer and diners dine longer. Things like fast cook ovens, they allow you to prepare food faster so that you can serve more customers and get meals out quicker. But assets all have to be working in order to provide that customer service and that customer experience. And keeping those assets up and running can oftentimes take large chunks of your budget. In some industries, the R&M budget can be impacted as much as 50% just maintaining assets.
You're working with customers across a wide range of industries at ServiceChannel, and even beyond grocery, every industry has some critical assets for their mission. So what are the common goals that you're seeing that our customers are achieving with asset management?
Well, the foundation of asset management is all about data and collecting that data and tying that data back to a specific asset. That allows you to make better decisions, right? So once you've got the data collected, then you can focus on the three primary goals of asset management. And the first one being asset downtime. If you're keeping your assets up and running, help you serve your customers better. This will help you do things like maintain your brand image, avoid emergency service calls on those assets. And the other piece that you want to do is try to resolve those issues as quickly as possible when they do occur, because not all of them are preventable. The second primary goal is ensuring asset performance, right, and productivity, so that you can serve more customers in a sustainable manner. And the last piece is really about optimizing the cost of the asset, whether it be for the R&M expense related to the asset, or whether it's the capital investment to upgrade or even replace those assets in the long term.
Right. So downtime, performance, and cost, all important goals. Can you share some examples of how the data helps to achieve those outcomes at different points in the asset's lifecycle?
Sure. The data that you acquire, right, can help you make good decisions about, like, purchasing, for example. Purchasing the right asset. Purchasing the asset that's most reliable and the most affordable to operate. Using the repair data that you have from a history of service records can help you determine which manufacturer or brand is the most optimal and the most cost the most to repair. After you've procured the new asset, you can then track your warranty information about that asset, ensuring that the manufacturer is paying for those services and you're not paying out of pocket for things that the manufacturer should be covering. It sounds simple enough, capturing the warranty information for assets, but the reality is when you're managing multiple locations and multiple assets within those locations, it can become very cumbersome over time to capture that detail. The next step is really about making sure that you're investing in the right maintenance plan for your assets to avoid that downtime, right? So that you can use things like the GPS check-ins to ensure that providers are following through on those planned maintenances to make sure that the assets maintain their uptime. For some retailers, like the grocery retailers, failure to maintain certain pieces of equipment, like racks, for example, can negatively impact your brand. No one wants that shopper coming in to pick up a quart of ice cream and finding all of the ice cream cases empty of product because the compressor failed. And the last major data-driven decision that can be made within asset management is the replacing assets before they fail, not getting stuck in that run to fail mode. In order to do that, you have to be able to answer a few questions. Questions like, how much is it going to cost me if I keep repairing this asset? Versus, how much is it going to cost me if I have to do an emergency replacement of this asset due to the fact that there was a catastrophic failure with it? And in order to make those decisions, you need certain pieces of information like the age of the asset, the condition of the asset, and the remaining useful life. And this is all specific to a particular asset. This information will help you make proactive decisions in buying assets, help you build it into a capital plan. It can also allow you to forecast expenses into the future so that you can save on things like downtime and, the surprises that can come up, as well as money.
So there's an opportunity really at every stage of life to use that data for improved outcomes. So from your experience, what are the challenges that are keeping our customers from already being further down the road here, and how can we help them?
Well, the main challenge is all about gathering the data. So not everybody has extra people in the field to go out and capture this information for them. And those people that are out there in the field, they're busy, doing the day-to-day operations of the business and don't have time to capture that information. So you really only have two options. You either commit to building that internal resource to go do that, or you have to contract with a third party to go out and capture that information. One thing ServiceChannel can do is they can minimize the challenge of acquiring the data by helping you build an asset management strategy that focuses on your most important assets for your particular industry. And then we can also help guide you through the process of leveraging those providers and manufacturers to capture that information. As far as the resource problem out in the field, we have partners that we can recommend that can go out and perform some of that for you, do things like inventorying your assets, applying asset tags, even doing condition assessments if you choose to go that far down the path. Plus, the ServiceChannel mobile application can help you as well. You can use that mobile device to manage those assets on site.
Thanks, Leum. That's a great overview of the outcomes from asset management and the critical role of the data to get there. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome, Chris. My pleasure.
Hi, Lance. Welcome to ServiceX.
Well, hello, Chris. Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here, sir.
Where are you calling in from today?
Calling in from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, where our Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores headquarters are located.
That's great. Thanks for joining us. Can we start with a little bit on your background at Love's?
Yes, sir. So I am the Director of Facilities Maintenance for Love's Travel Stops, and I manage the day-to-day facilities maintenance of all of our retail facilities, our truck care facilities, hotels, speedcos, as well as distribution centers across the nation.
And can you tell us a little about how you use ServiceChannel at Love's?
Sure. So we use ServiceChannel across all platforms across the nation for all of our Love's owned companies. So that includes 532 Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores, 19 of our hotels, 53 speedcos, distribution centers, restaurants across the board. And we're big users of ServiceChannel to the point where last year we closed 57,000 work orders for a total of about $11 million.
It's great to hear. You have a very diverse business at Love's. I understand that you're also using ServiceChannel across up to 15 departments now. Did you plan it that way from the beginning?
We did not. So initially our plan was just to use one platform, one department, but word spread quickly that we had this software platform that provided information on when a call was placed by the stores, the scope of work that was completed by the technician, the costs associated with it, when the call was closed. So once that word started to spread, then departments like legal, safety, risk, environmental, new construction, all were very interested in the process, and we started onboarding more and more people, more and more departments, and actually we have 2 external companies that we use that are using ServiceChannel to communicate back to us. So we've had very good success with onboarding additional departments as well as support.
Great. Sounds like maybe ServiceChannel is contagious.
Yes, I would agree with you on that.
What are the role of assets in the rapid growth of Love's over the years?
Actually, the role of assets is very important to us. It helps enhance the customer experience, especially with fuel pumps. We have to keep fuel rolling. We have to be able to turn the lot. We have to make sure that our customers can get in, get what they need, and get back on the road quickly, which is one of our customer commitments. We also have looked at HVAC as well as our refrigeration to make sure that product stays cold and the environment within the store is comfortable. So it's been very important to us, and ServiceChannel has been a big part of helping us with that.
You started your asset management initiative about 18 months ago. Let's talk about the impacts you're seeing now that you have that asset data in ServiceChannel. What's the value of that data, and where are you seeing the most important results?
Absolutely. So we've used the analytics that we've gotten from ServiceChannel to help the equipment tell a life story, if you will. So we spend time going through that to identify end of life for the asset, age, time, calls, all of those things that are put together that really tells us what's going on with that piece of equipment. So when we take that information to make decisions proactively to either repair or replace the equipment, but then we also use that information to use in our budgeting process. And as we go through that, we also want to make sure that we have created a good customer experience. An asset manager as well as ServiceChannel helps us get that customer experience where we need it to be.
Great. And You talked about how having the fuel flowing is so critical for delivering your customer experience at Love. So can you tell us more about how you're doing that? What are you doing to reduce the downtime of fuel dispensers?
So we have a fuel team that is internal to Love's within our department, and they examine work orders, they look at assets, and they troubleshoot and perform triage, if you will, with the store employees to see if they can get the equipment running before we actually send a service provider out. Once the decision is made that we do need to send a service provider out, then we will work with the service provider once they're on site to let them know what we've done, the steps that have been taken to try to resolve the issue. But also, too, that helps the service provider and the technician start from where we left off instead of starting from scratch again. And quite truthfully, it reduces the time that the service provider has to spend, which also reduces our costs as well.
What does it cost you if a fuel dispenser is down?
We've done a study on that, and we've determined that average of averages, it's about $4,500 of lost revenue a day on a dispenser that is down, a single dispenser.
And if you can troubleshoot a problem and not send a provider in the first place, what does that save you on that call?
Well, our stores aren't normally in a metropolitan area. We actually are outside metropolitan areas for the most part. So it's not always just down the street, but it works for our customer base. So we figured that with travel time just to get to our store and back, we are going to save about $500 per call each time we were able to troubleshoot and close a call on our own.
How are you using the data to decide when to proactively replace an asset?
We actually use the data that's provided through ServiceChannel to use in our budgeting process for our yearly identification of assets that need to be replaced. We look at the age of the equipment, we look at time spent on the equipment, and then we look at the number of calls that's been done on the equipment. So we take about 20% as an example for HVAC and look at those underperforming top 20% of our HVAC systems that are not meeting expectations, and we decide to replace those based on those three parameters of age, time, and calls. Once we do that, then we work with our manufacturer partner that builds the air conditioners for us, and we buy them in the cold months and get a much better deal on them than buying them in the middle of summer. And that keeps their production line going and also saves us money. So it's worked out very well. We actually have an example where we were working down in the Gulf Coast region with an air conditioner that just wasn't playing nice. So we looked at Asset Manager, and it told us that the asset was about 12 years old. We'd had about 15 calls over the last year. Each call was about $1,000. So at that point, we knew that $15,000 into it, that it made more financial sense to replace that piece of equipment at $25,000, and it increased the comfort of the employees and increased the customer experience, and it saved money in the long run because we weren't constantly sending out technicians to work on the equipment.
Well, Lance, thanks for sharing the backstory today on how you're keeping your critical assets running, including those fuel dispensers. I know that when I'm driving down the highway, tank's on E, and I see that Love sign, that's going to be some good peace of mind.
Love to have you, Chris, and thanks so much for the time today, and appreciate everything that you and ServiceChannel do for our company as well. Thank you very much.
It's great to have you. Thanks for your time with us. Cheers. Hi, Mark. Welcome to ServiceX.
What's up, Chris? Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for joining us. Where are you calling from?
I'm in lovely Richmond, Virginia, the home of Carmax, and where my home office is for the last couple months.
Thanks for joining us from your home office. Can you get started by telling us about your role at Carmax?
Yeah, I'm the senior manager of new store grand openings with Carmax. I've been with Carmax for 18 years. I spent the last 14 years opening new stores for Carmax. I buy all the furniture, the fixtures, the equipment, the doors, everything that goes into the store. We make sure it's purchased, it arrives, and it gets installed on time. I'm also the admin for ServiceChannel for our team. So I was there when we implemented ServiceChannel and all the different little components that we've put together.
Great. Well, you're definitely the expert we should be talking to today. Can you tell us more about how you're using ServiceChannel at Carmax?
Yeah, we use ServiceChannel for our 220 stores. We use it for all break fix work orders that are sent out, and we use it for projects, budgeted and unbudgeted.
How many assets do you think you're tracking on the platform?
I think we're just over 5,000 assets, and it ranges from like rooftop units for our HVAC, overhead doors, components of our car wash, tire changing machines, down to floor scrubbers that we use to clean the floors for our janitorial team.
So Carmax is the nation's largest retailer of used cars. You sold over 830,000 cars in the last year. So what's the role of assets in your success, and how does it enable you to sell so many cars at scale?
So I think that one of the main things that allows us to have vehicles on our front lot for customers is that we run a really efficient production line. We have a reconditioning process. When vehicles come in, we're going to make sure the tires are right. We're going to make sure the brakes are good. We're going to go through and do an inspection to make sure it's a quality car for our front lot. The assets are pieces that support that assembly line, that reconditioning process. Our car wash is a big one of them. We have paint booths. We have the individual brake and tire machines. And all those pieces are assets that we track in ServiceChannel to make sure that our reconditioning process is as efficient as possible.
It takes a lot of equipment to move that many cars, doesn't it?
It really does. It's a machine.
So in terms of running that machine, what were the challenges with doing that before you had a platform in place?
Yeah, so every year we had an Excel file and we had a list of all the assets we thought were at the stores, and we'd send one to each of the 220 stores, and they would give us feedback on all the different pieces of equipment. And that individual that day would say, yeah, I think this one's good. I think it's poor. Maybe they don't like the machine itself and they'll always say it's poor. But, we really didn't get very consistent feedback from our stores on the assets that we were tracking in that Excel file. What's nice now is that we have the asset tracking in ServiceChannel where we can actually see, based on work order feedback, the condition of those individual assets.
So now you have that work order information on an asset, and you also have that condition assessment from the store. So it seems like you do really have richer information on the state of each asset. What does that mean to your business? What are you seeing as the greatest impacts from having all that data on the ServiceChannel platform?
I think the two greatest impacts that we've had so far is the ability to be proactive versus reactive to replacing the assets, and then making sure we set the warranty dates inside the system so we're not paying for repairs on warranty items that should be covered by the manufacturer.
Awesome. Let's start with the first benefit you mentioned around being proactive. How do you use data to make proactive decisions and, not spend unnecessarily?
Yeah, I think one of the nicest pieces of having the analytics area and the one, I think it's a field on the dashboard that I love the most, is the repair versus replace analysis button. And it kind of just brings all of the assets that are costing us the most amount of money based on the value of the asset. It just rises, it all comes right to the top. And I can tell you I think we've got 300 plus floor scrubbers out there, and they're not super expensive. But what you can tell in that report is that like these 30, we're about to spend the entire value of that floor scrubber on these this year. And that's what I really like about the analytics piece, is it can show me that, hey, we shouldn't be pumping any more money into this individual asset. If it's a $7,000 piece of equipment and we're about to spend $8,000 on it, like, wait a second, whoa, let's just buy a new one and we'll get a warranty on it and it'll last longer.
Let's talk about that warranty, because you mentioned that's another important impact. What is the benefit of being able to track those warranties and, get the most out of them?
Yeah, so prior to ServiceChannel, we would just have to remember when the door was installed, We'd have to remember when those overhead doors were installed, are we still under warranty? And then we would send the work order to the warranty manufacturer and they would come out and do the repair. But there were times that we would send it out to our break fix vendor and they'd charge us an arm and a leg. And we did some research a couple years ago and found out that there was about $250,000 worth of work orders that we paid for that should have been covered under warranty, or at least we should have had it reviewed by the manufacturer to see if they were covered under warranty. What I really like is I can set the warranty date in ServiceChannel, and until that warranty expires, it's going to auto dispatch that work order to the manufacturer and make sure they're held accountable to get the warranty work done. We this year, I think we're down to about $7,000 in the last 12 months that we've paid for on a door that should be covered under warranty. And that's a legit $7,000 that we should have spent. But it's a lot better than the $250,000 that we had before.
That's great to see. That's really huge progress on getting the most out of those warranties. Let's jump to the subject of the projects module. You've been one of the early adopters of the projects module. How are you using it to execute your capital project plan?
Yeah, so our capital project plan this year is obviously to maintain the efficiency of our reconditioning process. And it's also to make sure that in the front end of the business, we're as modern as we can be. I'd love to say that we're 2020, but 2020 has been a mess. But our goal with our projects is to make sure that we have the latest and greatest technology up front for our customers and that our associates are working in an environment that allows them to be as efficient as possible. I think we've got about 725 projects in there right now. And that's about an $80 million spend for this fiscal year.
That is a huge portfolio of projects, and they clearly have some important tie to your strategy. So what are the benefits of tracking those projects in the same system where all your work order data is?
Yeah, so we used to, again, Excel. We love Excel. We would have this Excel file, and we would review it as a team every Monday. And we'd go line by line through the same 700 or so work orders, or I'm sorry, 700 or so projects out there. And what we would do is be like, all right, where are we at? Are we on schedule? Are we behind schedule? Do we need more money? All those different questions. And we'd go line by line and maybe take them in chunks, but it took a long time. And what's really nice now in the project module is like as soon as you log in, you can see all of the projects that are in scope, what's been approved, what's in process. We can tell the dates of what's behind schedule or what's ahead of schedule. And it's a really nice visual management tool for us for what's going on with our capital spend for the year.
Thank you, Mark, for sharing your experience with the projects module, advice for others, and also for the backstory and how you're keeping those critical production assets up and running using ServiceChannel.
Thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate your time. Take care. Today we heard from Love's Travel Stops and Carmax, two industry leaders, about how they're reliably delivering on customer expectations while optimizing costs by managing assets on ServiceChannel. How will proactive asset management improve your business results? We can help you evaluate the potential and develop the right strategy for your needs. Just reach out to your ServiceChannel representative and you can tap into the best practices of all the leading brands on the platform. Thanks for your time.